So, you know,
It actually,
that's how it is. But here, let me
actually-
ask you a question, Michael. Are you registered to vote?
yes.
Did you register with a political party? Are you affiliated with a political party?
We don't have party registration in the state of Washington. Neither do you in Oregon, I don't think.
Actually, I'm registered as a Democrat. We do have partisan
Okay, but
registration.
in the state of Washington, we do not require people, and people are not allowed to register with one political party or another.
Okay, well, here's my point. Your voter registration is a matter of public record. You can look up mine, I can look up yours.
Right.
We both publicly declared, I'd like to participate in this thing called the democracy, the Democratic Republic, the constitutionally limited representative Democratic Republic, if we want to be very politically correct, of the United States of America. I want to participate in the process. We publicly declared that. You and I publicly in front of somebody else signed that. Now, under the Employee Free Choice Act, actually, the employers and the unions don't even get to verify the names and the signatures. A third party, a minister, a judge, a third party has to be designated to do that, so it is in secret. But nonetheless, you and I publicly declared that we would like to participate in the democracy, and then every vote we make is private.
By the way,
it's the same thing with the union.
Tell you,
Once you have publicly declared that you want to be a member of a union, once you've publicly declared, or not even as public as a voter registration. Once you've said, yes, I'd like to participate in this, then the votes to who's going to be the president of the union, the votes of how is the union going to conduct itself, what are the bylaws going to be, how are we going to negotiate, every single one of those votes from that point forward forever, world without end, amen, is a secret ballot. This does not do away with the secret ballot. It enhances it. There's going to be a lot more secret ballots as a result of card check.
It does away with
because there will be a lot more unions.
First of all, I don't think it's a good idea to require people to register to vote. People are allowed in every state, including to register in a party. Pardon me. Of course, people should be registered to vote.
Well, I'm not talking about partisan registration.
Okay,
I'm simply saying
wait.
registration.
But you were trying to use the analogy saying that, okay, you can find out who's a Republican, registered Republican, who's
No, I can find out whether you're registered or not, whether you want to be an active member of this democracy or not.
Yeah,
Just
but
like
what you're suggesting is that someone would work at a company and someone who chooses not to support a union is not an active member of that company? Is somehow a second-class
No, I'm
citizen?
saying they don't want to be an active member of the union.
Okay. The basic point here is the one most important decision that will ever be involved in a union election is whether a given shop should unionize or not. And that, it is essential, should not be publicized and should not be public in any way. And
it's not publicized, Michael. Those cards are not publicized. There is no public record of those cards.
More people in the United States of America are electing to register, even in states with partisan registration, are electing to register as declined to state or as independent. Why? Because people want to be left alone. They do not want to be pressured. They do not want to be, quote, enlisted in some organized party. And there are many people who need to have the ability to affirm in private their desire to avoid unionization and to paying the forced union dues that other legislation requires.
Michael, why are you opposed to democracy in the workplace? Why are you opposed to workers, people in the workplace?
I am in favor of democracy.
Then why, you realize, I'm sure you realize, you're not a disingenuous guy, you're an honest guy. I have a lot of respect for your integrity. You and I have known each other for a lot of years. You know that it's a $2 billion a year industry right now in the United States, scaring the hell out of people to bust unions, to stop unions, that over 25,000 people a year in the United States are fired because they participated in the process of trying to get a union started in their workplace. Even the Chamber of Commerce is not disputing those numbers. In fact, in some cases, they brag about them. So why would you be so opposed to people participating?
Tom, I will tell you,
why would you be so supportive of that industry?
I will tell you exactly why. Our flagship's radio station had been certified as an AFTRA station, okay? Yep. It was a union shop. And a number of people at the station, not necessarily including me, though I supported their efforts, voted to decertify, to deunionize. And it was a very, very heated workplace. People disagreed intensely, and it ended up, we won the election, my side. And I was very public. I chose to be public. As a vested member for more than 30 years of AFTRA, that's the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, we won the election to decertify. But for people who are not quite as well established in their careers as I am, it was a very, very scary thing, because there were attempts by the union, even the national union, to try to pressure those individuals. I think anything that exposes individuals who choose to stand aside from union pressure and domination is worth preserving. And again, it's one of those things where if you see in the Senate of the United States, even some of your vaunted Democratic majority are rethinking the devastating impact on business, which, by the way, we really do need to do well in this country. There is no way that we make a recovery in this country without that recovery being led by businesses that actually can compete in the free enterprise system.
No, you can't have a recovery without that recovery being led by demand in a supply and demand economy. And the single source of demand in this economy is wages. You can't have an economy recover without decent wages. And union jobs are good-paying jobs. And a company that cannot function in a way that will allow it to pay decent wages to its people is a company that does not deserve to exist.
Let me...
Okay. And so, in other words, Tom, you would say, when you say decent wages, who defines what the decent wages are? I happen to believe that having...
The Republican Teddy Roosevelt.
What's that?
The Republican Teddy Roosevelt. In 1913, Teddy Roosevelt said, he invented the phrase living wage, and he said a living wage is enough that you can have morality in your life. In other words, you don't have to steal for food and things. That you can raise your children to adulthood, you can pay for their education, you can pay for your health care in times of sickness, you can have an annual vacation, and you can set aside enough for retirement and old age.
You would like to see the government, guaranteeing all of that.
I would like to see that in the workplace, the unions have an equal power with capital. I would like the people in the workplace to have the ability to say, this is what we will work for, nothing less.
Okay.
I would like to see a balance between capital
Let me jump in. My question is to Thom Hartmann, and it is along these lines. By the way, I'm a national vice president of AFTRA, Michael.
Well, and let me just, if I can just toss in.
A union boss.
You got it.
He's a union boss. I work at Clear Channel.
Let me ask you a question. Tom, we're talking about who decides who gets a decent wage. A failing financial organization just recently received $25 billion in TARP funds, or bailout money, from the federal government.
The Obama administration.
No, this was TARP. This was actually the Bush administration.
Actually, it was the Bush administration. But, let me finish. One of the things they did in that, after receiving $25 billion, was host a meeting of the Chamber of Commerce and other organizations, a conference to decide how to defeat the Employee Free Choice Act. People taking bailout money from taxpayers, hardworking people, men and women like all of us, are now deciding that we don't want union workers in our shops getting a fair wage. Should they be forced to give back that kind of money if they're using it to defeat the American working man?
Well, I was not in favor of TARP in the first place, but I think that's outrageous. I think it's also an indication of the way that our media tilts, that there frankly has been very little coverage of the fact that Citibank or Citicorp funded that. That they took some of our TARP money and they used it in anti-union activities, or just in support of anti-union activities. I suspect if they had had the same conference call about how to, for example, take away people's guns, or make sure that gay marriage was legal in every state in the union, it would have been all over the front of Drudge, and then it would have migrated to the front page of the Washington Post, and then it would have migrated to every TV news host in America, and for 2 whole weeks we would have been talking about it. But because it just had to do with working people, no, it didn't get much coverage.